So 2 questions for you. First of all, why porn? And second of all, why podcasting? Because your medium is traditionally in print. And though your stuff makes it into movies, you're not behind the camera. But podcasting is a fascinating medium to tell stories. And a lot of people are embracing it in different ways. And I'm curious, why?
Well, it's like the Wild West of narrative nonfiction. You can do anything. You can create your own rules. I really love that about it. I'm a fan. Right from the beginning of my career, when I was writing for Time Out and The Guardian, when I was 18, 19, I always had a rule for myself, which was I only ever want to work for people that I'm a fan of. So, my dream at the age of 18 was to have my own column in Time Out, because I was Hunter S. Thompson did it, and, P.G. O'Rourke did it. And now I'm a big podcast fan, and I really admire, the kind of adventurous spirit when it comes to, different ways of doing narrative. And then Audible came along and said I could do whatever I wanted, and they had good resources. And again, I'm a fan of Audible. I subscribe. Yeah. So,
and they're funding podcast projects, is what they're doing. So they write checks that you couldn't get from obviously iTunes or anything.
Yeah, I think the only people I can think of who would match Audible in terms of resources is probably This American Life. And my stuff is quite expensive because it's very, often I'll fly all the way to LA and end up with 4 minutes of usable material. Wow. So I need to work with, I don't do this kind of long form stuff. Long form interview stuff. I really admire it, but I just don't think I'd be very good at it as an interview. I think I'm much better at sort of, weird, unfolding, twisty-turny narratives.
That's the way you write.
Yeah,
a
exactly.
long form interview isn't great at crafting a complicated narrative or a nuanced narrative.
Yeah, and it's not cheap. So I had to work for somebody who could afford it, and really that's Audible and This American Life. If you're doing it in audio, if you're doing it in books, you're paying for the whole thing yourself, and you just hope you recoup in sales. But then again, if you're doing it in books, you're only paying for your own flight. You're not paying for a producer's flight.
Right.
So it does become a bit cheaper.
Were you ever worried, I can't pull this off?
Podcasting, no. I'm. It's no.
It's not podcasting. It's audio storytelling.
Oh no, I'm very. I say this because I have very few skills, but editing audio definitely is one of them. Okay. Knowing the best moments. Also, I think I'm really good at the sound design, music, knowing how long the beat should be, the breaths. I mean, I'm really intricate.
Did you do music in the past?
A little. I played in Frank Sidebottom's band, but I don't know if that strictly counts.
Which was the basis of Frank a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I love sitting there thinking, when she pauses, should she pause for a second or should she pause for half a second? I spend so much time thinking about that stuff.
So do I. That's why my director always throws things at me.
Right.
We go down to the single frame when we're making our movies, and everything has to be perfect.
It's like music. It's like the rhythm of music.
Yeah. Although, in some ways, sound is strangely more creative than video. I don't know if you found that, but it's a fascinating medium because someone's visualizing everything and you're in between their ears and you're in their brain in a way that video doesn't do, even though it's got higher bandwidth. I don't know if you found that.
Yes, I love it. Well, for me, it's just less stressful. I find video more stressful, partly
to create or to watch.
To create.
Okay.
Partly because I used to work with a really great cameraman, but he never took enough cutaways. And I remember when I was doing the documentary series to go alongside The Monasteric Goats, it was nightmarish. I was like having sleepless nights because we didn't have enough cutaways. So I suppose, an answer to that would be to get more cutaways. But instead, I just decided not to do video anymore. Also, it's expensive, right? It's certainly more expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, how many people? There's 1, 2. How many people in this room? Like 3, 4.
Yeah,
people.
5 cameras. Yeah.
Right.
And lighting and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So you're enjoying the audio storytelling a lot.
A lot. Yeah.
Is it the most creative medium out there, you think?
Well, that for me, it's that and books.